So, welcome to my Alien Experiences series, and I'm just going to be talking about another experience I had. So, I'm just going to get right into it. So, I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and when I went to the bathroom, I saw these bright flashing lights that were so bright that they were like streaming through the window and like starting to illuminate the bathroom. And it was kind of like kind of stroby, you know, they were kind of blinking. And they were also lighting up like the side of the forest and the hill that are by that window, the same window that I had that physical flyby. And there was like a row of like white lights and a row of like blue lights on this ship, and they were, you know, kind of like oscillating is the best way to say, and some are like blinking while it's oscillating is the best way to describe it. And I do have astigmatism, so for me it was very like stringy lights, almost like lasery, but I'm pretty sure that's just my astigmatism with my eyes. And basically, if this is like the window, the ship came in, down, and out to the left. And I was extremely groggy. I mean, it had to be maybe like 2 or 3 in the morning. And I was just wiping my eyes and yawning, and I wanted to go back to bed so bad. But that direction they went was in the direction of my little patio area. And the way they were descending, I was like, oh no, like they're landing, so I need to go see what's up. So I had to put on clothes, and I put on my sweatpants, I put on like my purple flannel, because this is like in cooler weather. In this was in August of 25, and my journal that I'm referencing says August 5th, and I kind of begrudgingly put on these clothes because I really want to go back to bed, but what am I supposed to do when there's a medium-sized ship outside that looks like it's coming into land? And so I just put on my bare minimum clothes and put on socks and my sandals. And I just grabbed my offering stone. I have this moonstone that I keep by my bed in case there's like contact, as just like an offering or, you know, a frequency anchor for me. So I slipped that in my pocket, and I headed downstairs. And once I headed downstairs, there's like these windows that go to that patio area on the right side, and the light was streaming through the windows and illuminating the inside, even with my curtains drawn, and that's how bright it was. They're not fabric curtains. They're not blackout curtains or anything like that. They're more like papery, so light can go through them. So, but light was streaming in and like illuminating the living room. And again, like my eyes are really sensitive because I just woke up, so I'm still like rubbing my eyes and kind of like adjusting to it and yawning. And you know when you're like woke up out of like a deep REM sleep, and your whole body just feels heavy and sluggish, and like it's hard to move, and everything's just like slow and sluggish and heavy. That's kind of how I was feeling physically at that time. And then as I was approaching my door, I heard a knock at my door, just a simple like knock. And so I was really nervous though, because, you know, I was just scared. You know, I don't know what they're gonna look like or who they are, and I was very nervous. You know, I was a little shaky, even though it was heavy. And as I like was trying to open the door, it just felt like the door weighed like 100 pounds. It was just so heavy and hard to open. And I don't know if it's just fatigue, because like in the morning, you know, like sometimes my arms feel extra weak, or if there was some sort of energetic threshold going on, but it just felt so heavy to pull my door open. And I pulled it open just a crack at first, about this wide, because I was so scared of you know, what's on the other side, you know, because it's not always fun to see aliens. You know, I love them, and yeah, like I know they mean me well, but again, like when I see them, when they are in my bedrooms at night, and that's not very fun. And I don't know, you're just nervous. It's the unknown. It's the human part of me. And when I opened it, this crack, light was just streaming in from the crack. And I saw this beautifully like embroidered blue robe through the crack. That's all I could really see. And the way it was embroidered, it was almost as if it was like carrying light. Like this robe, the robe was like giving off a light in the embroidery, almost as if it was made out of some material that can like generate light. And I know that's crazy to say. And it was embroidered with like gold and symbols and patterns that I then don't know or fully recognize. And because it was kind of glowy, it was really hard to like, I didn't draw that because it's really hard to like describe. And so when I saw the robe, then I was like, okay, I'll open it more. And then I fully opened the door, and the light was still shining behind them, and there were two individuals. There was a tall woman in these blue robes that were kind of like glowing, and they had short blonde hair. And then there was a shorter female who was a brunette, and I mean really short. So, you know, maybe like 4 or 5, but much shorter than me. And it was a stark contrast to have someone super tall and blonde and very thin and very smooth skin, and then the shorter one, very smooth, pale skin, but very short, like unnaturally kind of short. And yeah, so that was my first impressions. And I don't know if they're projecting a human image to not scare me, or if, you know, that's what they truly looked like. That was very uncertain, and I didn't really question it because, you know, it just made me more comfortable. So whether it was them, you know, trying to show themselves like that to me, or that's what they look like, I can't fully say because I was just going with it. And the lights were really disorientating because like the way my door is, the patio's over here, and it was so bright it was like streaming to my door because it's only maybe 10 feet from my door, my like patio on the side of my house. And so that was streaming in, and then I had like the lights from the robes, so there was just a lot of lights. And you know, I was really groggy. I was like rubbing my eyes and very sluggishly moving. But then they started to speak telepathically to me, and I asked in my mind, who is the smaller one? And there wasn't an English word to describe her. They didn't give me a name. They were just giving me the impression of like a guardian. Like she didn't really talk much and had kind of a very stern, protective demeanor. And so when I asked, the closest akin word was like a guardian. But with this telepathy, it's a lot of feeling and not just words. So it just felt like protection, keeping everyone safe, that sort of feeling. Like to make sure negative forces don't intervene at all in some ways, basically that. But I basically started crying like uncontrollably when I was seeing them and hearing them, because it just felt like so much love, like pure unconditional love, very high vibrational love. And it felt like home. It felt like deep home. And I just gave the taller one a hug and cried for a little bit. And I could just feel their frequency of just love, of peace, of welcome, and familiarity, like friends or family of some sort. That wasn't clear, and I didn't really ask because it was just basking in it, and it was very it was a lot to take in, you know. So I was just sort of going with the flow, and they told me that they wanted me to come on a mission with them. So I basically started following them, and I saw the ship that I saw earlier, and it had basically landed on like the patio. So I'm just gonna show you my rough drawing of it. So the ship, these lights are doing the lights thing. The top one is the white ring, and then the lower one is this light blue color. And these like legs with like props came out. And the interesting part about them is like, I would imagine there would be like a hinge here or some sort of joinery, and there wasn't. It was kind of like fluid, and it just kind of came out, and it was like this part is able to bend some way, but I didn't see any visible hinges or anything like that. So as we approached the ship, this door basically opened up. I don't really understand how. It wasn't like you would imagine a door goes and just like comes up or down. It just sort of like appeared, and then this ramp came down and out. And I'm honestly not sure what the material is. Like, it's metallic, it's shiny, it looks like metal, but I don't really fully know, to be honest. And so I came inside. and then it closed behind me. This door closed, well, so we come inside and then this retracts in, but you can't see any visible place of where it retracted in. It like becomes flush with it, kind of like these. Like when these retract, when we went up, it's like you can't tell that this came out of the ship. Once this kind of like folds back in, everything looks completely like flush and continuous. So that's just kind of a mystery. But once we onboarded from this like ramp and the door kind of like closed behind us, it was kind of like a slight whooshing type of sound is the best way I can describe it. And then I was in this control room, and it was like, I can't really describe sizes because it's really hard to. I mean, everything's round, and it almost seemed like it could shift, and like I didn't really know, but basically I entered this control room, and there were like star hologram type things and different, like, I don't even know how to describe it, like kind of like what you would imagine a control board to look like, but not in a very human way, not with like a bunch of switches and buttons and levers, but it just looked like a smooth control panel, almost like a screen, but it wasn't like a screen that we have. I don't know, the material was completely different. And like the inside of the ship, I'm really bad at trying to draw hexagons, but like the inside of the ship looked like, beeswax. It's just like a bunch of hexagons. I mean, there's no triangle. It's like just a ton of hexagons, like interlocking hexagons like you would see in like a beehive. But these like interlocking like hexagons, they were all slightly different shades. Like some were more bronze, some were more silver, some were more gold, and some were more black, and they were just all connected and interlocking is the best way to describe it. And I don't know if they were like some sort of metal or coated ceramic, or I have no idea, but there were all these interlocking hexes. And then the tall woman telepathically told me that I needed to go to a moon and give a message with my frequency, to help people because I've been absent on this earth journey. I had no idea what any of that meant, but I just sort of went with it. And like the ship lifted, and almost instantly, like before I knew it, this is so hard to describe, but the control panel, and then you have like hologram, like I guess star maps, and then in front of that the metal became, or like the wall or whatever, became translucent in a section, like a long like rectangular type of section, and turned into a window. Again, that I know this doesn't make sense. I don't expect anybody to believe me. This is just my own personal experiences, but it was some of the craziest things I've ever seen. So it just turned into this translucent type of material. I don't know if it was like a plasma or like an energy barrier type of thing. I really don't know. I didn't touch it, but it didn't seem like glass in order for the wall to turn translucent. I have no idea. So basically a window appeared, and I didn't feel like we got pulled up from Earth. Like when we were in space, I guess, I didn't feel a transition like G-forces or any of that. It was like we're here 1 minute and then we're there almost instantly. And then when I looked outside, I just saw, galaxies and stars and these brilliant colors, these pinks, these blues, these star colors is the best way to describe it. And they're colors that I hadn't really seen on Earth. They're like, I guess, colors made from different chemical reactions in stars and space, but it was very, very mesmerizing is the best way to put it. And I tried to ask for like what the moon name was called, and they didn't give me an exact name or word. Like it wasn't in an English language, and they didn't give me like an alien name for it, but the feeling was just abundance. That was the energy. That's like the closest word I could get to that telepathically. And I'm just breathing a lot because it's just kind of a lot to just like recall, because it was very, very interesting. So another strange part about this experience was like, so you have this control board, but there wasn't seats, and I wanted to sit down there because I didn't see any other seats. I didn't see openings to other rooms, but based on the window, I was assuming that the walls could open up into doors like this, kind of like at any moment or anything like that. And I wasn't really engaged in wanting to take like a full tour of the ship or anything like that. I was kind of just like happy to be looking out the window. And so when I wanted to sit down, and I told them that telepathically, like, I want to sit, how do I sit? And they just said, just sit down next to the control board. And so I'm like looking at the weird holographic type of screen with symbols that I don't recognize, and I just start sitting down, like going to sit down to take a seat. And as I go down to take a seat, something rises to meet me. So right at the position where you're gonna like hit a chair, so it's almost it's like a desk. It's kind of like the height, not like a bench top control, but it was kind of like more like a seated desk, like where I'm at now. And so about that height where I was expecting to meet a chair, but there was no physical chair I could see, something met me there. And it basically went up the lower half of my back and curved around my butt. And it was like an energetic chair. That's the best way I can describe it. It wasn't like a metal chair or something that like rose out of the ground to meet me. It was more like a physical, this is so hard to describe, like a physical type of energy that could hold my weight and felt solid, but it looked like it was made out of light, or a type of light. And it didn't burn, it didn't hurt. But that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a very liquidy type of light that like molded to me. And when that happened and I sat down on the light, I connected with the energy of the ship, which was also pretty insane, because then it was like the ship was alive and had its own telepathy at that point. And when I sat down, for whatever reason, I connected with the energy of the ship. And then the ship was basically happy I was there. And the way that the ship felt and the way that the ship sounded was like a dog. And I know this is insane, but it's kind of like, you know, if you have a dog and you come home and they're really, really excited, their tail's wagging, and, you know, they love you. And if you've ever seen the movie Up, when the dog Doug has that collar where he can speak, he's often like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I missed you, I missed you, I missed you. That's what the ship sounded like in my head, you know, telepathy wise. It was just saying like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I missed you, I missed you, I missed you, you know, that type of thing. And when I connected with the ship and I could start hearing like the messages of the telepathic messages of the ship, and I could feel also the excitement of the ship, like the ship was excited. It was like a dog energy. It was like really excited and like high vibrational and like just like jittery, like excited jitters and happiness and excitement. And when I connected, then all of a sudden, like the walls, these hexagons, they started to light up and do like waves of light throughout the ship on the walls that I could see in this control room, and just doing these like undulating waves of light. Like, and to me, it was like the ship's version of wagging its tail like a dog, and it was just doing that with the lights of like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. And, you know, there was this sense of home, this sense of this ship is my friend, this ship knows me from some lifetime or something. And I felt so much love from the ship itself, which is something I wasn't expecting. I was not prepared for the ship to have any sort of sentience or anything like that. And it really blew me away, because it really felt like the ship was like a dog, a companion that I had in the past that like I hadn't been in contact for a long time, and I got to meet again, and it started making me emotional and tear up, just feeling all the love and the excitement, and them feeling like I was finally with them again, or reunited. And it was so beautiful, and it was so cute and so exciting. And that's all they really were communicating to me in terms of the ship. So I was just excited and happy to feel the ship's presence as well. Somehow the ship has sentience, some way, somehow it had a frequency of sentience that I could communicate with, although it didn't appear highly intelligent. It didn't seem like an AI, even though there probably is some sort of AI guidance system. But like the ship itself had the sentience of what felt like a dog. That's the best way I could describe it. Like a companion friend that you go on adventures with, and, you know, that stays in your yard or whatever. So then we're just going through, you know, space, and it doesn't take very long. And next thing I know, we're just there, and it's only like minutes. This doesn't feel like an hour. It just feels like a few minutes, like maybe 5 minutes, and we're like at this moon. And the moon was, parts of it were blue, like water, and parts of it were gray, and parts of it were green. I didn't like land on the moon and go on the moon because, you know, I wasn't prepared, and they didn't say I needed to. What they did was they took a hologram of me and my frequency and just projected it down there, because they were telling me telepathically that my voice and my frequency cannot be replicated with a hologram without my actual frequency and voice being able to be, I guess, recorded with their technology. So they wanted that. And I did that, and they just basically recorded my frequency and my voice, and they told me what to say to project down to people that just seemingly needed to hear my frequency or my voice, like they missed me or something. It was very strange. And so I just basically told them that it's an honor to be talking with you, and you all have your own gifts to share with each other if you're open and ready for receiving. I miss you and I love you. And then I blinked and they cut the hologram, and that was that. And it was projected down there, I guess. And when I was hearing the ship also, I was repeating it back to her. When she was like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I miss you, I miss you, I miss you. I was just doing the same thing, but I was like, I love you too, I love you too, I love you too. I missed you, I missed you, I missed you. Not that I ever fully recognized her, but there was this longing of when you never knew you missed something until it's there type of feeling. And then it was time to go back, essentially. So we were on our way back, and it just felt like all my cells were vibrating. Everything was vibrating at a really high frequency, and not like a nervous shake, but literally I'm just vibrating at a frequency on this ship that is higher than what I'm used to. And it just felt like every single cell, every strand of DNA was buzzing, was alive, and was full of excitement, and like it was trying to align with this vibration that they don't usually exist in, is the best way to describe that. And then I just remember coming back, and then I woke up in my bed and started bawling my eyes out because I felt like I didn't get to say goodbye, and I didn't get to, have closure with them, I didn't get to say goodbye to the ship. I didn't get to say goodbye to them. I just woke up in my bed, and my clothes were off, and I was really sad. I was crying. I was tense. My muscles were tense. I was still buzzing, right? All my cells were still buzzing a little, feeling after effects. And I was just crying and really sad. And I was just sitting up in bed crying because I didn't get to say goodbye. And I was back on Earth, and I was back in my bed, and I was away from what felt like the truest family I've ever known, or the closest thing to, I guess, a soul family, or a connection that I've never really experienced like that on Earth. It's so soul to soul. It's very deep and emotional, and it really rocked me really hard. This experience in particular definitely emotionally caused me a lot of distress the next week, because after that, then I just wanted to go back on the ship, and I wanted to go back with them, and I wanted to travel, and I wanted to feel at home with them again. I wanted to hear the ship's voice again. I wanted to hear their voice again. And it makes me really emotional just thinking about it, and I'm trying not to become disheveled and start crying. But that's the sort of feeling. It was very wrecking, and for that next week I was just kind of like recovering from that. And there was like grief going on where, you know, you didn't realize how much you miss something until you experience it. And then it's kind of probably the reason why we forget all these things and we don't have these memories when we come to Earth, because it would be really painful and hard to exist knowing so much of your connection with maybe angels or other souls or other galactic beings is, you know, like out there, but you're not connected to them while you're here in the same ways, or able to visit them as much or in the same way. So it was really hard, very, very hard for me. So yeah, that's another experience, and I really enjoy just having the opportunity to share them with you. And I'll just share one more really short experience with you all. This was kind of like an astral travel in my dream state. I was definitely fully asleep when this one happened, and all I remember, like, I don't remember how I got there or any of that, but I just remember being on a ship, and the ship was huge, like the size of a large city, and there was this biodome in it. I was standing basically at this platform that goes out to overlook the biodome. That's where I was, and I just like basically was there. And this like outlook, that's what I'm looking for, like the outlooks where it's like a platform that goes out and there's like a railing so you can look over the nature or whatever, but it was a biodome nature, and the railing was made of energetic light, like a light barrier. Literally, it was, you could see it pulsing back and forth between the two sides of it were metal, and the top of it was like just energy, and you could see it pulsing from like pole to pole, and it was beautiful, almost like rainbow type of energy going through the barrier, but there was a physical barrier. And I was standing there overlooking the biome, and there was a very tall blue alien standing next to me while I was looking over the biodome, and they were wearing the same colored clothing that the aliens that have visited me were wearing. So they were wearing this basically, and they looked very similar to this, like large black eyes, small slits for a nose and a mouth, but they were like a blue color in skin, and they had these like robes on that were like a dark gray blue is the best way I can put it. And we were just overlooking this biodome, and you could see like there was like this layer over the biodome like glass, but there's no way it was glass because we're in space. So it's like if you look out and up, you can see space, and then there's this like clear excuse me sorry, there's just like this clear thing around it. The best way I can describe it is glass, but it's probably some sort of energy thing, some sort of barrier or material. And the biodome we were overlooking was a mushroom forest, and it was all bioluminescent mushrooms, and the mushrooms were huge. Like, some of them were as tall as redwood trees, some of them were as tall as pine trees, some of them were deciduous. You know, it's just a forest, right? You have all these different heights of trees, but they're tree big. These mushrooms are as big as trees, and they were all glowing all these different colors. You know, very neon pinks and blues and purples and yellows, and they were pulsing, like their light was undulating a little. It wasn't like you flip a light switch and it's just on constant. It was very bioluminescent, where like there's a pulse, there's an energy, there's a heartbeat to it, is the best way to describe that. And then around the mushrooms, there was all these little lights flying around that looked like bioluminescent type of orbs or insects of some kind. I was pretty far back, so I didn't get a very detailed look, but they were just flying all over. And they were kind of flying in like schools, like schools of fish or flocks of birds, but there were these little lights that were just going over and under all the mushrooms. Just, hanging out with him, I guess. And I didn't see any other animals because we were really high up. So I'm just seeing like the tops of the trees, well, the mushroom trees. I don't know how to describe it, but they're as tall as trees, but mushrooms. So I'm seeing those. And the guys just standing next to me were female. We didn't have any telepathy communication at that point. We were just looking at it, and I was literally just like jaw dropped in awe. It was just so beautiful. And again, like totally different colors and lights that I've never seen on Earth. It's really hard to describe. It's like hues of similar colors that you've never seen before. And the way that they shift in hue is unlike anything I've ever seen. It just felt so alive. I mean, it's like you could see the pulse of like the heartbeat. Not that there were hearts in them, but the pulse of, energy or moving nutrients or whatever it is moving through them. And the way that the insects were flying around, or orbs, or whatever things they were. But that was like just a beautiful experience, and I loved it so much. I love seeing the biodome ship. I love seeing mushrooms like this, mushrooms that could be as tall as trees, because I've never seen anything like that before. And it just felt like I had a taste of like what another world was like without going to another world, just being on this bio ship, which I think is just what they were trying to show me, is just experiencing other like plant life or fungi life or other types of life or other planet biomes, I guess. And then I just woke up in bed and was pretty excited, and also again confused on why I was in bed. All these experiences, usually I'm like, why am I in bed? And it was really hard to go back to sleep because I was so excited seeing all the mushrooms, and it's really hard to draw with the lights and everything because it's really hard for me to describe, and it was so alive. There was so much movement, so I didn't really draw that, but that's kind of what it felt like. And that was a very short experience, but it was very impactful just to see that. Like, it's like burned into my mind where like I can see it when I think about it, but it's really hard to describe or draw or share. But that was like a nicer experience than waking up and being really sad that I didn't get to say goodbye. And I didn't get to say goodbye to the alien next to me. And they had like a warm, loving presence. It was non-threatening. But I was just there to like take in the biodome and just see it and be in all of this other form of nature, because I love nature, and it's just seeing another form of life was so beautiful. And I was just like, dang, I wish I could have gone down into the biodome. I wish I could have touched the mushrooms. I wish I could have got a better look at the orb creatures and really see it. And it's just so exciting to see and like know that there's different forms of life, different intelligent life, different types of flora and fauna that exist out there, even if we don't have full access to experiencing it, So yeah, those are 2 more of my experiences. And if you've had your own experiences or anything, feel free to comment. I'd love to read, and know I'm not the only one who's having these crazy experiences. So thank you for listening. I'm sending you so much love and so much light.